The sky above the United Nations Space Command headquarters in Geneva turned dark as storm clouds gathered. Inside the main control room, the usual buzz of conversations and clicking of keyboards stopped. Every eye fixed on the main screen where a strange message flashed. "Are we sure this is real?" asked General Paul Bennett, his weathered face tight with concern. Susan Clark, the head of communications, nodded. "Yes, sir. The signal came through the deep space relay. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." The message had arrived 3 hours ago. It was a distress call from somewhere in the Andromeda galaxy, millions of light years away. What made it strange was that it came in perfect English, as if the sender knew exactly who they were contacting. "Play it again," ordered the general. The room fell silent as the message filled the speakers. "To the warriors of Earth, we, the Illyrians, face extinction. A predator species called the Vorsath hunts us across the stars. We are peaceful. We cannot fight. Our research shows your species possesses the ability to wage war. In exchange for your protection, we offer knowledge beyond your current technology. Please help us." Attached are coordinates and instructions for faster-than-light travel. Time is short. General Bennett rubbed his temple. "How is this even possible? We don't have faster-than-light travel." "That's the thing, sir," said Dr. Alan Reeves, the chief scientist. "The message included complete blueprints for a drive system we've never imagined. Our team has checked the math. It works. They're at least 500 years ahead of us." The room burst into discussions. Some thought it was a trick. Others wanted to ignore it completely. A few saw it as the greatest opportunity humanity had ever received. "Quiet," shouted Bennett. "We need to take this to the Security Council immediately." 3 days later, after endless meetings and arguments, a decision was made. Earth would respond to the call. "We need the best," said Bennett to the small group gathered in the underground meeting room. "Not just soldiers. We need killers, survivors, people who can think on their feet when everything goes wrong." The world's military forces had already submitted their candidates. Files covered the table, each containing the name of someone considered among the deadliest humans alive. "Our ship will be ready in 2 weeks," explained Dr. Reeves. "Using the Illyrian designs, we've converted the ESS Nighthawk. It's our most advanced stealth vessel, and now it can cross galaxies." Colonel Laura Hayes, the mission coordinator, opened the first file. "For team leader, all recommendations point to Commander Frank Winters. Navy SEAL, 15 years of service. Led the rescue mission during the Jakarta crisis. 37 confirmed hostile eliminations. Known for getting his people out alive, no matter the situation." Bennett nodded. "I know Winters. Cold under pressure. Smart. Not afraid to break rules when needed." "For our sniper," Hayes continued, "Sergeant Maya Peterson. Marine Force Recon. Highest confirmed kill count in modern warfare. Can hit a target at 2 miles in high winds." One by one, they reviewed the files, selecting only those with skills that set them apart. Not just training, but instinct. The kind of people who thrived in situations that would break others. "We're assembling a team of killers to save a peaceful alien race," said Bennett, looking troubled. "What does that say about us as a species?" Dr. Reeves looked up from the blueprints. "It says we're survivors, sir. And maybe that's exactly what the Illyrians need right now." The call went out. Across military bases around the world, selected personnel received unexpected orders. None were told the full mission, only that they had been chosen for something never before attempted. Commander Frank Winters was fishing at his cabin in Montana when his secure phone buzzed. The message was simple: Operation Distant Shield. Priority Alpha. Report to Geneva base immediately. He didn't hesitate. Within an hour, his cabin was locked up, and he was driving to the nearest airfield. Whatever was happening, they wouldn't call him unless it was serious. Somewhere across the stars, the Illyrians watched their monitors, hoping their call would be answered before it was too late. Commander Frank Winters stood at attention in the underground briefing room. His eyes swept across the other 4 people in the line beside him. They all wore the same plain black uniforms with no markings or rank, just the best of the best, pulled from different branches of military service. General Bennett paced in front of them. "You 5 have been selected for a mission unlike any in human history. 3 days ago, we received a distress call from an alien civilization." The room stayed quiet, but Frank noticed the slight widening of eyes, the small shifts in posture. They were professionals. They wouldn't show much. The Illyrians are under attack by a predator species called the Vorsath. They're peaceful, with advanced technology, but no concept of warfare. They've offered to share their knowledge if we help them survive. A screen lit up showing technical diagrams. They've already given us the plans for faster-than-light travel. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. Frank spoke up. "Sir, why us specifically?" "Because the Illyrians chose humans for our unique skills." Bennett's face was grim. "Their database of galactic species lists humans as unusually proficient in lethal conflict resolution. In simple terms, we're natural warriors. And right now, they need warriors." He gestured toward each of them. "Commander Winters, you'll lead this team. Each person here brings skills we believe will be essential." Frank studied his team more carefully now. On his right stood a tall woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Sergeant Maya Peterson, Marine Force Recon. Best sniper in the service. 96 confirmed kills. Next to her was a solid man with rough hands and a calculated look. Lieutenant Jack Harrison, Army Delta Force. Demolitions expert. Created the breaching techniques now taught at West Point. Then a woman with intelligent eyes who carried herself like she was constantly evaluating threats. Dr. Kate Mitchell, former CIA operative, now our leading xenobiologist. Speaks 17 languages and has kept herself alive in every hostile environment Earth has to offer. Finally, a compact man with steady hands and a calm demeanor. Chief Petty Officer Sam Rodriguez, Navy combat medic. Saved 27 lives during the Mars Rebellion when his medical bay was destroyed. Performed surgery in the field with minimal supplies. Frank nodded to each of them. This was a kill team, plain and simple. The kind you send when failure isn't an option. "Your mission," continued Bennett, "is Operation Distant Shield. You'll travel to the Illyrian system, assess the situation, and do whatever is necessary to protect them from extinction." Dr. Reeves stepped forward with a tablet. "The ESS Nighthawk has been retrofitted with Illyrian technology. It's now the first human vessel capable of reaching another galaxy. Journey time will be 3 months, which you'll spend in cryosleep. Over the next 2 weeks, they train together." Frank watched how they moved, how they thought, how they solved problems. Peterson could hit any target they gave her, no matter the conditions. Harrison could turn ordinary objects into deadly weapons. Mitchell absorbed the Illyrian data faster than anyone expected, already learning their language. Rodriguez could stabilize a critical patient while under fire in training simulations. They were the deadliest humans Frank had ever worked with, and he'd worked with the best. The night before launch, Frank stood alone on the observation deck, looking at the Nighthawk. The sleek black ship looked dangerous even sitting still. Having doubts, General Bennett asked, joining him. "No, sir. Just thinking about the responsibility. We're about to represent humanity to an alien civilization." Bennett nodded. "That's why you were chosen, Frank. Not just because you can kill, but because you understand when you should. Remember that the Illyrians picked humans for a reason." "Yes, sir. We won't let them down." "I know." Bennett handed him a small flash drive. "These are your real orders. Open them only if the situation changes dramatically." Some of the Security Council members had concerns. Frank pocketed it without comment. He understood. Politics always complicated missions. The next morning, the team boarded the Nighthawk. As Frank sealed the airlock, he felt the weight of what they were about to do. 5 humans traveling to another galaxy to fight an enemy no one had ever seen. Operation Distant Shield was underway. Frank Winters opened his eyes as the cryopod hissed open. His body felt stiff and cold after 3 months of frozen sleep. Beside him, the rest of the team was waking up too. The ship's automated systems had brought them out of cryosleep as they approached the Illurian system. "Status report," Frank called out, his voice rough from disuse. "All systems normal," responded the ship's computer. "We have arrived at the coordinates provided by the Illurian distress signal." The team gathered on the bridge, still shaking off the effects of long-term cryosleep. Through the main viewport, they could see a solar system with 7 planets orbiting a yellow star similar to Earth's sun. "Scan for life signs and technology," ordered Frank. Rodriguez, who had recovered fastest, worked the sensor controls. "Commander, I'm picking up massive energy readings from the 3rd planet, but also from space around it. Some kind of orbital battle is happening." The main screen zoomed in to show the space around the blue-green world. Sleek silver ships were being pursued by larger, jagged vessels that looked like metal insects. "The Illurians and the Vorsath," said Dr. Mitchell, studying the data. "Based on the transmissions I'm picking up, the situation is critical. The Vorsath have already taken most of the Illurian colony worlds. This is their homeworld, the last major stronghold." Frank made his decision quickly. "Engage stealth systems and move us closer. We need to make contact with Illurian leadership before we do anything else." The Nighthawk slipped between the battling ships, its advanced stealth technology making it invisible to both sides. As they approached the planet, they detected a transmission aimed directly at their ship. "They can see us," Peterson said, surprised. "So much for stealth." "No," corrected Mitchell. "They provided the technology. They'd probably built in ways to detect it." The transmission resolved into a voice speaking accented but clear English. "Earth vessel, this is Thalia, lead coordinator of Illurian defense. Please proceed to coordinates being transmitted. We have a shielded landing zone prepared." Frank acknowledged and piloted the ship down through the atmosphere. Below them, a beautiful city of crystal spires and flowing architecture spread out across a coastal region. But parts of it were damaged, with smoke rising from several districts. They landed in a protected hangar built into a mountainside. As the team prepared to disembark, Frank gave final instructions. "Full tactical gear, but weapons on safe. We're here as allies, but stay alert. We don't know the full situation yet." They stepped out of the Nighthawk to find a group of tall, slender beings waiting for them. The Illurians had pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Their large eyes were completely silver, with no visible pupils, and they had 6-fingered hands. One stepped forward. "I am Thalia. Thank you for answering our call. We had almost lost hope." Frank introduced himself and his team. "We came as quickly as we could. What's the current situation?" Thalia led them to a command center inside the mountain. Holographic displays showed the ongoing battle in orbit and other fights happening across the planet's surface. "The Vorsath began attacking our outpost 6 of your Earth months ago. At first, we thought we could negotiate, but we soon learned they do not communicate with prey. They consume sentient species and take their technology." Harrison examined the tactical displays. "They're using standard attack formations. Methodical. Predictable." "Yes," said Thalia, looking surprised. "You recognized that immediately. We had no understanding of such things until recently." She gestured to a large database display. "Our research shows humans have fought wars throughout your history. You understand conflict, strategy, and violence in ways we cannot. We were a peaceful species for over 20,000 years. We never needed weapons." Frank saw the desperation in her silver eyes. "How many Illurians are left?" "Less than 1 million. From a civilization of billions," Thalia replied softly. "The Vorsath have already consumed most of our people." The human team exchanged glances. The scale of the disaster was far worse than they had imagined. "We'll need everything you have on the Vorsath," Frank said. "Strengths, weaknesses, biology, behavior patterns. And we need to know what defenses you have, even if they weren't designed as weapons. Felia nodded. We will share all our knowledge. But please understand, we chose humans because our database identified your species as unusually lethal. We need that lethality now, but it frightens us too. Frank looked her in the eyes. Sometimes you need predators to fight predators. And humans, we're the most dangerous predators Earth ever produced. The holographic display showed a detailed map of an Illyrian outpost that had fallen to the Vorseth 3 weeks ago. It was built into the side of a mountain on a small moon orbiting the 4th planet in the system. We need to understand our enemy better, Frank said to his team. This outpost is small enough for us to infiltrate, gather intelligence, and get out without alerting their main forces. Peterson studied the layout. Security looks minimal. They're not expecting anyone to attack them. Why would they? Dr. Mitchell added. The Illyrians never fight back. Felia had given them access to all Illyrian knowledge about the Vorseth, but it was limited. The peaceful aliens had never tried to study their attackers up close. They simply ran when the Vorseth appeared. The ship can get us within 5 miles of the facility, Frank continued. We go in quiet, observe, gather data, and leave. No engagement unless absolutely necessary. Harrison checked his equipment. What if we find survivors? We extract them if possible, Frank replied. But the primary mission is intelligence gathering. We need to know what we're up against before we can help the Illyrians fight back. 6 hours later, the Nighthawk dropped them on the dark side of the small moon. The team moved across the rocky surface in their environmental suits, using the low gravity to make rapid progress while staying low. They reached the outpost perimeter and took cover behind a ridge of rocks. From there, they could see the Vorseth for the first time. My God, whispered Rodriguez over the comlink. The creatures moved on 6 legs, each ending in sharp claws. Their bodies were covered in chitinous armor that reflected the starlight. They stood nearly 8 feet tall, with multiple eyes arranged around a head that ended in powerful mandibles. Some carried tools or weapons, while others dragged pieces of Illyrian technology. They looked like giant insects, Peterson said, adjusting her scope to get a better view. Dr. Mitchell was using a scanner to collect data. Insectoid, yes, but their biology is more complex. I'm detecting a strong electromagnetic field around each one. They might communicate through some form of bioelectrical signals. Hivemond? Asked Frank. Possibly, Mitchell replied, but with individual consciousness. See how they organize themselves. Different types for different jobs. Harrison pointed to a larger Vorseth, directing the others. Look at that one. Different markings, bigger mandibles. Some kind of leader. Let's get closer, Frank ordered. We need to see inside the facility. They moved carefully around the perimeter until they found an access point, a damaged section of wall, where the Vorseth came and went. Timing their movement between patrols, they slipped inside. The interior of the once beautiful Illyrian outpost was now transformed. The walls were covered with a resinous substance that gave off a faint glow. Vorseth moved through the corridors, carrying equipment or organic material. Mitchell took samples of everything, while Harrison planted tiny cameras that would continue gathering intelligence after they left. Rodriguez kept watch while Peterson covered their backs. In what had been a research lab, they found something disturbing. Transparent pods lined the walls, each containing an unconscious Illyrian. They're keeping them alive, Mitchell whispered, scanning the pods. Their vital signs are stable, but they're in some kind of stasis. Food storage, Frank said grimly. The Illyrians said the Vorseth consume other species. A sudden noise made them freeze. From a side corridor, a small Illyrian child stumbled into view, clearly terrified, and trying to hide. Behind it, a Vorseth warrior appeared, mandibles clicking in excitement. Peterson didn't hesitate. Her silenced weapon made a soft feft sound, and the Vorseth dropped with a precision shot through one of its eyes. Frank rushed forward and grabbed the child, who stared at them with wide silver eyes. More coming, Harrison warned, checking his motion sensors. They must have detected the death somehow. We've got what we came for, Frank decided. Let's move. Rodriguez, help with the child. They retreated the way they had come, moving as fast as they could while staying quiet. Behind them, they could hear clicking and hissing as more Vorsath converged on their location. They made it back to the extraction point just as the Nighthawk appeared, cloaking device engaged. As they took off, Frank looked at the small Illyrian child huddled against Rodriguez, who was checking it for injuries. Well, Frank said, we certainly got their attention now. Mitchell looked up from her data analysis, and I think I found something. The Vorsath aren't just random predators. They're organized around a queen. Cut off the head, and the body might follow. The rescued Illyrian child was named Lyra. She became the center of attention when the teen returned to the Illyrian sanctuary. No one had expected any survivors from the outpost. Her parents had hidden her when the Vorsath attacked, sacrificing themselves so she might live. You killed one of them, Thalia said to Peterson in a quiet voice. The Illyrian leader seemed both grateful and disturbed. We have never seen a Vorsath die before. Peterson checked her rifle. Eye steady. It was threatening the child. There was no time for alternatives. Frank watched as Rodriguez examined Lyra. The medic had a gentle way with the child, who seemed fascinated by the humans. She reached out to touch Rodriguez's face, her six-fingered hand glowing slightly. They're coming. An Illyrian observer called out suddenly. The sanctuary sensors had detected a large force of Vorsath ships approaching. How did they find this place? Harrison asked, moving to the tactical display. Thalia looked grim. They must have followed your ship. No sanctuary has ever been discovered before. Frank made quick decisions. Peterson, find high ground with good sightlines. Harrison, we need defenses. Can we repurpose any Illyrian technology as weapons? Harrison nodded. Their energy systems could be modified into something explosive. Give me an hour. You have 30 minutes, Frank replied. Mitchell, what can you tell us about Vorsath tactics based on the data we gathered? Dr. Mitchell pulled up her analysis. They attack in waves. First wave is scouts, second is warriors, third is collectors who gather technology. And she glanced at Lyra. Food sources. They aren't used to resistance, so disrupting their pattern should create confusion. Frank turned to the Illyrians. What defenses does this sanctuary have? Thalia gestured to the shield dome visible above them. Our energy barriers can withstand their weapons for approximately 2 hours. We have no offensive capabilities. Frank looked at his small team. 5 humans against what could be hundreds of Vorsath. The odds were terrible, but he'd faced worse. We need to make them think they're fighting a larger force, he said. Psychological warfare. Hit them from multiple directions, create chaos. The first Vorsath ships appeared above the shield dome 30 minutes later. Energy weapons struck the barrier, creating ripples of light. Harrison had worked quickly, converting Illyrian power cells into improvised explosive devices that could be triggered remotely. I set them around the most likely entry points, he explained. They won't expect traps. Peterson was positioned on top of a crystal spire with her rifle. I count at least 50 Vorsath in the first wave, she reported through the comlink. They're searching for weak points in the shield. Frank, Harrison, and Rodriguez took positions at different parts of the sanctuary perimeter, while Mitchell stayed with the Illyrians in the command center to coordinate. The shield failed faster than expected. Sections began to collapse under the concentrated Vorsath attack. As the first Vorsath troops entered through a breach, Harrison triggered his explosives. The blast caught the aliens by surprise, sending chitinous bodies flying. Peterson's rifle cracked repeatedly as she took down Vorsath after Vorsath with precision headshots. The aliens scattered, unused to losing members of their attack force. Frank engaged a group trying to flank their position. His combat training was obvious as he moved with lethal efficiency. The Illyrians watched in shock as the humans fought with a violence they had never witnessed before. The battle turned when a massive Vorsath broke through near Rodriguez's position. The medic was tending to an injured Illyrian when a creature attacked. Frank saw it happen but was too far away. "Rodriguez," he shouted over the comm. The medic turned just as the Vorsath struck. Its claw caught him across the chest, sending him sprawling. Before it could finish him, the wounded Illyrian touched Rodriguez's injury. The blue glow spread from the alien's hand, and Rodriguez's wound began to close. Surprised, Rodriguez grabbed his weapon and fired upward into the Vorsath's head. The creature collapsed on top of him. "What just happened?" Rodriguez asked, pushing the dead alien off. The Illyrian looked equally shocked. "I do not know. I wish to help you as you helped us." Mitchell's voice came over the comm. "Their healing abilities. They've never used them this way before." The discovery came just as Frank took a serious hit from Vorsath acid weapons. He fell back, severely wounded, as Harrison and Peterson continued to hold the line. "Commander's down," Peterson reported, her voice tight. "We need extraction." Sergeant Maya Peterson stood over Commander Winters in the medical chamber. His chest rose and fell slowly as 3 Illyrian healers worked on him. The acid attack had burned through his armor and damaged his internal organs. On Earth, he would have died. Here, the Illyrian's healing abilities were keeping him alive. "How long until he recovers?" she asked Thalia. "We are not sure. We have never healed a human before. Your biology is similar to ours in some ways, very different in others." Thalia looked tired. The sanctuary had held, but barely. "He is strong. There is hope." Peterson nodded and walked to the command center where the rest of the team waited. Without discussion, they looked to her for leadership. As second in command, she now carried the responsibility. "The Vorsath will be back," she said, studying the tactical display. "And they'll bring more forces next time." Harrison had been working with Illyrian engineers to modify their technology. "I got something to show you," he said, leading them to a workshop area. On the tables lay various devices. Some looked like weapons, others like strange tools. The Illyrians have amazing technology, but they never thought to use it for defense. Harrison explained. "This device generates sound waves for communication across vast distances. I modified it to produce frequencies that should disrupt Vorsath nervous systems, based on Mitchell's data." Dr. Mitchell picked up another device, and this scanner can now detect Vorsath bioelectric fields from miles away. "We'll have better warning next time." Peterson was impressed. "Good work, but we're still just 4 humans against an army." 3 active, Rodriguez corrected, pointing to his bandaged ribs. "I can fight, but I'm not at full capacity." Peterson made a decision. "We need reinforcements. Dr. Mitchell, the Illyrians have faster-than-light communication." "Right." "Yes, much more advanced than ours. We could send a message to Earth instantly." "Do it. Tell them we need the Special Warfare Group and every weapon they can send." While they waited for Earth's response, Peterson worked with the Illyrians to prepare. She was surprised by how quickly they learned. The peaceful aliens had no concept of violence, but they understood patterns and systems. When she explained tactical thinking as a type of problem-solving, they began to grasp it. "This object creates light for growing plants," an Illyrian engineer named Nevin explained, showing Peterson a small device. "But if we increase its intensity and focus it here," he demonstrated, and a beam of light shot out, burning a hole through a metal plate. "You just invented a laser," Peterson said, amazed. Nevin looked troubled. "I have created a weapon." "You've created a tool to protect your people," Peterson corrected. "There's a difference." Throughout the sanctuary, similar transformations were happening. Everyday Illyrian technology was being repurposed for defense. Harrison taught them how to create traps, while Mitchell helped them understand Vorsath weaknesses. Rodriguez, despite his injuries, showed them basic field medicine for combat situations. 3 days later, Earth responded. The message was brief. Special Warfare Group deploying via new FTL drive. ETA 48 hours. Colonel Lisa Morgan commanding. Bringing supplies and personnel. Hold position. 2 more days, Peterson told her team. We just need to survive that long. That night, as she checked the defenses, she found Lyra watching her from a doorway. You are not afraid, the Illyrian child said in careful English she had been learning. Peterson knelt to be at eye level with her. I am afraid, but I don't let fear stop me from doing what's necessary. The others say humans enjoy fighting. Is this true? Peterson thought carefully before answering. No, we don't enjoy it, but we've learned to be good at it because sometimes you must fight to protect what matters. Lyra considered this, her silver eyes reflecting the lights of the sanctuary. Will you teach me? Not to enjoy it, but to protect. The question surprised Peterson. It represented a fundamental shift in Illyrian thinking. After 20,000 years of peace, they were considering the concept of justified violence. If that's what you want, yes. But remember, the best warriors hope they never have to use their skills. An alarm sounded before Lyra could respond. Mitchell's voice came over the comm system. Multiple Vorsath signatures detected, much larger force than before. They're coming from all directions. Peterson stood up. Get to the shelter, she told Lyra. The next battle has begun. The 36 hours that followed were the longest of Peterson's life. Wave after wave of Vorsath attacked the sanctuary. The modified Illyrian defenses worked better than expected, but they were still being pushed back. The sanctuary shields were at 20% and failing. Then, like an answer to a prayer, the sky lit up with new energy signatures. Earth ships. Mitchell called out from the command center. 7 vessels, military grade, just dropped out of FTL. Peterson allowed herself a brief smile. Open a channel. A strong female voice came through. This is Colonel Lisa Morgan, Special Warfare Group. Sounds like you could use some backup, Sergeant. You have no idea how good it is to hear your voice, Colonel. Peterson replied. We're about to be overrun. Not today. You're not. Stand by. The Earth ships opened fire on the Vorsath fleet. Unlike the Nighthawk, these vessels had been built with weapon systems already integrated with Illyrian technology. The effect was devastating. Vorsath ships exploded in orbit as human pilots executed maneuvers the insectoid aliens had never encountered. A dropship landed in the sanctuary, and Colonel Morgan stepped out with 20 elite operators in full combat gear. They carried advanced weapons and equipment designed specifically for this mission. Situation report, Morgan demanded as she met Peterson. Peterson quickly briefed her on everything they had learned about the Vorsath, including the existence of a queen who likely controlled the hive. Our intel suggests she's on their command ship, Peterson explained. Cut off the head, and the body dies, Morgan finished. Classic hive structure. We've brought sonic disruptors based on the data you sent. Should mess with their bioelectric communication. Commander Winters had recovered enough to join the meeting, though he moved slowly and with obvious pain. What's the plan, Colonel? Morgan pulled up a holographic display. 2-pronged attack. My main force will hit their fleet head-on, create a diversion. Meanwhile, a small strike team will infiltrate the command ship and neutralize the Queen. Who's on the strike team? Winters asked. You're not, Rodriguez said firmly. Medic's orders. You'd never survive the mission in your condition. Winters looked like he wanted to argue, but nodded instead. Then I'll coordinate from here. Peterson should lead the strike team. Morgan agreed. Peterson, Harrison, and 3 of my operators. Dr. Mitchell has prepared targeting data for the Queen's most likely location based on Vorsath ship layouts. They spent the next few hours preparing. The Illyrians provided upgrades to their suits that would help mask their bioelectric signatures from Vorsath detection. Harrison packed his special explosives, while Peterson calibrated her rifle for the mission parameters. Just before departure, Winters pulled Peterson aside. I haven't opened the flash drive Bennett gave me. Haven't needed to. But if things go sideways up there. What are you saying, Commander? I'm saying Earth sent a lot of firepower very quickly. That suggests there might be more to this mission than just saving the Illyrians. Peterson nodded. "I'll keep that in mind." The strike team left aboard a small stealth craft designed to attach to the hull of the Vorsath command ship. As they approached, they could see the massive battle unfolding around them. Earth ships were executing complex maneuvers, drawing Vorsath fire away from their approach vector. 30 seconds to contact, the pilot announced. "Prepare for silent dock." Peterson checked her gear one last time. The sonic disruptor was secure, and her team was ready. Harrison gave her a solemn nod. "For what it's worth," he said quietly, "it's been an honor serving with you, Sergeant. Save the goodbye speeches, Lieutenant. We're all coming back from this." But as she said it, Peterson knew the odds were against them. 5 humans about to infiltrate an alien hive ship to assassinate its queen. It was practically a suicide mission. The ship attached to the Vorsath vessel with a soft thud. Harrison placed a cutting device against the hull, creating a perfect circle that they could pass through. "Remember," Peterson told her team as they prepared to enter, "quick and quiet. We find the queen, plant the sonic disruptor, and get out before they know what hit them." With weapons ready, they entered the darkness of the Vorsath command ship, leaving the relative safety of their vessel behind. The inside of the Vorsath command ship was dark and humid. Organic material covered the walls, pulsing with a faint blue glow that reminded Peterson of blood vessels. The air smelled like rotting meat and chemicals. "Stay close," she whispered to her team. Mitchell said the queen should be in the central chamber. They moved silently through the corridors, avoiding Vorsath patrols when possible, eliminating them quietly when necessary. Harrison's knowledge of the ship's layout from Dr. Mitchell's analysis proved accurate. 200 meters ahead, one of Morgan's operators whispered, checking a scanner. "Large chamber with significant bioelectric activity." As they approached, they encountered heavier resistance. A group of warrior Vorsath blocked a major junction. There was no way around. "We need a distraction," Peterson said. Harrison reached into his pack. "I've got just the thing." He pulled out a small device he had built with Illyrian technology. It mimics Vorsath emergency signals. Should draw most of them away. He activated it and tossed it down a side corridor. Within seconds, most of the Vorsath rushed toward the sound, leaving only 2 guards behind. Peterson and 1 operator took them out silently with knives to their vulnerable neck joints, a weakness Mitchell had identified. They reached the entrance to the Queen's chamber, a massive door covered in the same organic material as the walls. "This is it," Peterson said. "Once we're inside, we'll have maybe 2 minutes before every Vorsath on this ship comes running." Harrison placed small charges around the door. "Ready when you are." Peterson looked at each member of her team. "Plant the disruptor, set the timer, get out." Simple. The explosion was contained but effective. The door dissolved, and they rushed in with weapons ready. The chamber beyond was enormous. In the center sat the Vorsath queen, 3 times larger than the warriors, with multiple egg sacs attached to her lower body. Around her, worker Vorsath tended to her needs while guard Vorsath stood at attention. For a moment, everything froze. Then chaos erupted. "Cover me," Harrison shouted as he rushed forward with the sonic disruptor. The guards moved to intercept him. Peterson and the operators laid down suppressing fire, their weapons cutting through chitinous armor. The queen made a high-pitched shrieking sound that hurt their ears even through their helmets. Harrison made it halfway to the target zone when a Vorsath warrior leaped from above, landing directly in his path. Before anyone could react, it drove a clawed limb through his chest armor. "Harrison," Peterson screamed. The lieutenant fell to his knees but did not drop the disruptor. With his last strength, he activated it and threw it toward the queen. It landed just short. "Get to the disruptor," Peterson ordered as she rushed to Harrison. He was still alive, but barely. "Go," he gasped. "I'll buy you time." Peterson hesitated, then nodded. She knew what he meant to do. "It's been an honor, Lieutenant." Harrison pulled out his remaining explosives. "Get everyone out." "I got this." Peterson and the two surviving operators fought their way toward the exit as more Vorsath poured into the chamber. Behind them, Harrison dragged himself and his explosives closer to the Queen. They made it to the corridor just as a massive explosion rocked the ship. The Queen's death scream echoed through the structure, followed by confused noises from the Vorsath throughout the ship. "He did it," one operator said as they ran for the extraction point. When they reached their attached vessel, only Peterson and one operator remained. They detached and sped away from the command ship, which was now drifting aimlessly. "All Vorsath ships are breaking formation," Colonel Morgan reported over the comm. They seemed disoriented. Back at the sanctuary, the victory celebration was subdued. They had won, but at a high cost. Harrison's sacrifice was honored by both humans and Illyrians. 3 days later, Commander Winters stood with Thalia on a balcony overlooking the Illyrian city. Reconstruction had already begun. "What will your people do now?" he asked. "We must change," she replied. 20,000 years of peace made us vulnerable. We need to find balance, keeping our values while learning to defend ourselves." Winters nodded. "And Earth, will you share your technology as promised?" "Yes, but I have concerns. Your people came to our rescue, but you are also natural warriors. The galactic community has noticed. Some are grateful, others fearful." Winters thought about the flash drive from General Bennett. He had opened it after the battle. Its contents confirmed what he had suspected. Earth wanted Illyrian technology not just for advancement, but for potential conflicts with other alien civilizations they might encounter. "Humanity is complicated," he finally said. "We can be both saviors and destroyers. That's why we need friends like the Illyrians to remind us of our better nature." As the rescue team prepared to return to Earth, they knew they were bringing back more than advanced technology. They were bringing a new understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy, as protectors, warriors, and perhaps someday, peacemakers.